Fire Call, the fire safety show with Division Chief Jim Sideras.
Hi, my name is Division Chief Jim Sideras, and you are watching Fire Call. This is a show all about Sioux Falls Fire Rescue, one of the best fire departments in the country, bar none. We're going to talk about all kinds of stuff in this show, and this is going to be a little different. We're going to, of course, have our shout-outs, get all those questions answered that you ask. We're going to take a look at how we test our trucks. That's kind of a cool thing. We're going to talk to the chief, get some tough answers from him. We're going to meet one of our new firefighters. Tall guy, pretty nice. You'll like him. We're going to meet one of our firefighters, and he's going to show us some of the EMS stuff, some of the medical equipment that we carry, and we're going to have just a whole bunch more stuff on the show. So get off that computer, shut down your cell phone, tell the kids to be quiet, get some popcorn, sit down and spend some time with us at Sioux Falls Fire Rescue. Get some quick shout-outs right away. Now, if you want your department recognized, send us an email, and I'll try and get a shout-out. And if you got a shout-out, you'll also get a T-shirt, and we'll show you how to get those at the end of the show. First shout-out comes from Stuart in Hickson, Tennessee, and he wants a shout-out to the Dallas Bay Fire Department in Hickson, Tennessee. Stuart, you got it. Hope those guys in Tennessee appreciate all your hard work. This comes from Francisco, and he wants a shout out to the Rainbow Volunteer Fire Department in Rainbow, California. I hope to come and visit you this winter. It's got to be better than South Dakota in the wintertime. And this is a shout out question. This is from Aaron in Chicago, Illinois. And Aaron wants to know, what are buggies? Well, Aaron, we're all set on tradition. The whole fire service is set on tradition, and sometimes that tradition just goes on and on and on. In the olden time, the chief would show up in a buggy, literally, horse and buggy. We had them here, 100 years ago. That's still carried on, and a lot of times the chief vehicles are called buggies. So, I don't know what they do in Chicago. That's what they do here, and you'll travel across the country and you hear that. Buggies, fire plugs, some of those terms from way back when. And Aaron also wants a shout out to the Chicago Fire Department. So to the Windy City, this one's for you. Now sit back, relax, and we'll spend some more time with Sioux Falls Fire Rescue. I have a lot of questions about fire inspectors and what do inspectors do. So we're going to get some of those questions answered. And I have John Wagner with me. Now John Wagner is one of our fire investigators. He's also with the Air Guard and has been actually activated for the conflict in the Middle East. So John, appreciate you being here.
Thank you.
Where did you go to when you were deployed?
I was in Oman for a while, which is south of Saudi Arabia, and then we went to various bases throughout the U.S.
Well, you ready for some questions?
I sure am.
First, tell our viewers, what's the role of a fire investigator in the Fire Prevention Bureau?
Okay, well, we have a dual role. We do fire investigation and inspections. As inspections, we inspect all the businesses within the city of Sioux Falls to make sure that they are up to the fire code, to make sure they're safe for the occupants to get out in case a fire does start. And then we also talk to them about fire prevention on what to do in case a fire does start. We also take care of the sprinkler systems and alarm systems within the city of Sioux Falls to make sure they're operational and work for the buildings. On the fire investigation side, we investigate all fires in the city of Sioux Falls as mandated by the state fire marshal.
Okay, well, let's get it. Well, first question's right down that alley. Joey from Springfield, Illinois wants to know, how does a fire investigator determine if a fire was accidental or arson? And I'm sure everyone wants to know, how do you tell the difference? These buildings are pretty much charred, burned down. How do you go about it?
That's a good question. We usually start...
Hey, we got smart viewers. That's why they're good questions.
I'd say they are great questions. We use a systematic approach to figure out how the fire started and where it started at. We have two main areas we look at. It's origin and cause. Where the fire started at, what caused the fire. One of the reasons we do the fire cause is to determine if there's a problem with appliances or other trends that might affect the public down the road.
That would generate recalls then that people see?
Exactly. And we go from the outside of the building to the inside, from the area of least damage to most damage. And then once we find the area where the fire started, we basically go through different things that could have caused the fire. Was it electrical? We eliminate that. If it wasn't electrical, was it an appliance that malfunctioned? Mm-hmm. Was it a candle? Once we eliminate all the accidental causes, then it leans towards a possible incendiary cause, which is intentionally set.
Okay, great. This next question is from Kenneth, and Kenneth lives in University Park, Illinois, and he wants to know, how do you do inspections on new buildings? So you have a construction going up. What's that role of your role?
Well, when a new building goes up, people have to apply for permits, and if it's requiring a sprinkler system or a fire alarm system, we get involved with that on the fire side.
Right from the get-go in the planning stages?
Exactly. And then the building services downtown does their part for the structure itself. So we'll inspect the building. I'm going to one later on today for a sprinkler system to make sure it's operating properly. It's called an acceptance test. We do the same thing with fire alarm systems, fire extinguishers, addressing for the building. Just check the general layout of the building and make corrections as needed before it gets completed.
And as fast as Sioux Falls is growing, this is job security for you. It's never, you guys are going all day long, aren't you?
Almost feels like 24/7, but not quite.
This question's from Andrew, and Andrew lives in Sioux Falls. He wants to know, how effective are fire protection systems?
Fire protection systems, especially fire sprinklers and fire alarm systems, are very effective. The sprinkler system is designed to either keep the fire in check so you can get out safely, or put the fire out. We're seeing more homes getting fire sprinkler systems installed, and it's a nominal cost, maybe $2 per square foot when you build it brand new, and it could save your life down the road. But the sprinkler systems that we've had in Sioux Falls when we've had a fire have done a phenomenal job of putting the fire out.
This one's from Todd. Todd lives in Sioux Falls, and he wants to know, what are the regulations for smoke detectors in Sioux Falls?
Well, all new construction as far as residential housing in Sioux Falls is required to have hardwired smoke detectors throughout the house, at least one detector on every floor and one detector in every bedroom. Older homes that don't have the electricity hardwired detectors in them should, if they can, get additional battery-operated detectors and put one in each bedroom, one in each floor, to give them adequate protection throughout the house.
And where could they get those?
Well, at Sioux Falls Fire Rescue at 37th in Minnesota, 2820 South Minnesota, we have a smoke detector program where you can get up to 4 smoke detectors free of charge. Just come on down and ask for them, and we'll take care of you.
And say, what about the batteries for those smoke detectors?
Well, we also include batteries, too, with the smoke detectors. And if you need batteries for your smoke detectors, we have them also. And every year in the fall, at daylight savings time, we do a change your clock, change your battery program.
Perfect. Okay, say the toughest for last, and this one's from Raymond. Raymond lives in Toronto, Ontario, Canada. And he wants to know, why is it not safe to use an elevator to evacuate a burning building?
Well, imagine me in the elevator and the building's on fire and the power quits. You're going nowhere. You're trapped in the elevator, and there's a good chance you'll succumb to smoke and or flames. So the elevator use is basically not a good idea because of the life safety hazard of being trapped in the elevator.
Perfect.
Firefighters do use elevators at some times, but they don't use them to go to the fire floor. They use them to haul equipment up to the floor below the fire. And that way it helps them out because it's a lot of equipment they have to carry up those stairs.
Plus, another thing is, if you're going to use it to evacuate a building, and everyone's going to be pushing the button on their floor, you might actually be stopping on the fire floor, doors open up, and now you have the fire right in front of your face.
And that would not be a good thing.
No, that would not make your day. John, thanks a lot for coming in, and I'm glad we got to use it. And hopefully we'll keep these inspector questions coming, and we're going to tap into your vast knowledge again.
Glad to help in any way I can, Jim.
Thanks.
All right, you're welcome.
Well, this is a new portion. I'm going to introduce you to one of our new firefighters. He's still in his recruit phase, might not make it. I kind of think he probably will. His name's Mike Top, also known out here at the recruit class as the Top Dog. How's it going?
Very good, thank you.
So tell me, what did you do before you became a firefighter?
I worked construction for a company in Sioux Falls here for 7 years, and actually been in construction pretty much since I've been out of VOTEC.
And then what was the big revelation to say, I want to be a firefighter? There had to be something to say, bolt of lightning out of the sky, what happened?
One of your firefighters actually brought it up to me. He asked why I'm on a volunteer service, and on the volunteer service with him. And he brought it up, why didn't I do it for a living? And I guess I didn't have an answer for him, so I started trying here.
But now firefighting runs in your family. What's the story?
My dad was a fire chief in Hills, Minnesota for 17 years and kind of grew up around it all the time, and really enjoyed it. And once I had the opportunity to become on the volunteer service, I moved out of Sioux Falls. Moved to Sioux Falls, moved out of Sioux Falls, got on the volunteer service there and really, really enjoyed it. So just taking another step. So
now, what kind of things are you learning out here now? You've been out here how many weeks now? Probably about
almost 7 weeks.
Okay.
Yeah.
What kind of things? What have you enjoyed doing out here?
Pretty much everything. I really like the live burns. That's fun.
Oh, sure.
Yeah, like that. Really getting to know the guys, my fellow recruits, getting to know them well, starting to make good bonds with them, making new friends. So can't say one bad thing so far.
Any apprehensions?
I don't think so. I enjoy
Mr.
every day.
Confident.
I enjoy
boy.
every day.
Well, Mike, we're really glad to have you and look forward to seeing you on the floor.
Oh, thank you.
This is a little bit of a different truck of the month. Instead of looking at a truck, we're going to look at the insides, the guts of the truck, the pump. And we do annual pump tests every year to ensure those pumps are working. And with me is Dan Hartman. He's our chief mechanic. Now, Dan, tell us, when we do these annual pump tests, what actually do we do? How high do we run them up to? Just kind of the basics.
We're running 3 main tests. The first one is a 100% test, and this truck here is rated at 1,500 gallons a minute. So for the first 20 minutes, we'll run it at 1,500 gallons and at 150 psi.
Pounds per square inch.
Yep. Then the second test is a 70% test, and we run that for 10 minutes. So on a 1,500 gallon pump, it's going to be running around 1,065. And then the third test is another 10-minute test, and that's going to be a 50% test, so it'll be running 750 gallons a minute, and that's going to be at 250 psi.
Now, where do you get the standards from on how often and to do the test, and at what percentages do you do the test?
That's a NFPA standard. We pick it out of the NFPA guidelines.
So that's National Fire Protection Association, the national guidelines for trucks.
That's correct, yep.
And then basically, we're drafting out, pumping in the truck, and then shooting out here to discharging and to tell how much, what our output is?
Yep. We have on the discharge nozzle, we have a pitot gauge, and that's giving us a pressure reading. This is the pitot pressure reading here, and that tells us how many psi we have at our tip, and on the chart we can tell from that how many gallons per minute that it's producing. This is our test gauge for the pressure that the pump is producing, and this one will tell us vacuum. We don't always use this one, but this one will tell us vacuum, how much vacuum we've got in the pump that's creating the draft.
So this ensures that all our trucks are operating at maximum potential. We're working, basically the trucks are all in great shape as far as the pumps are concerned, and every year we just run through every one.
Right, we just look for flaws. Sometimes we might have a valve leaking, maybe a crosslay will fill up, or if there's a valve between the pump and the tank might run over. Those are some things that we find during pump tests. Some of the minor things. Once in a while there might be a major thing. Sometimes, a couple of times we've lost transfer cases and things like that. So
it's better to do it here in a controlled environment than when we have a building on fire and we're depending on the trucks to work.
yeah, exactly.
Got a great question from Brian in Lake Oswego, Oregon. And Brian, no one's asked this one yet. That's why we're answering it. He wants to know about standpipe systems and what do they do and how do we pump water to them and kind of the background of standpipes. Well, standpipe systems are designed, if we have a large high-rise building, we can hump the hose up all these stairs to these high-rises, but we use a lot of hose, a lot of manpower, it takes a lot of time. We have to pump up all those hoses with water. Someone invented this idea of standpipes. And what a standpipe is there's connections outside the building. We pull up, hook our hoses right to these standpipes. Inside the stairwell, there's a large diameter pipe, runs from right down here to the inlets all the way to the top. And on each floor, there is a connection. So if we have a fire on the 10th floor, we can charge the standpipes, move all our equipment up to the 9th floor, look at our operations, and we can actually hook into those standpipes and then pump to our hoses right off there. So speeds us up, makes it safer, keeps those stairwells free, clean, easy to use. Great way to do this. Standpipes are also found in other places, like a lot of parking ramps will have standpipes. Again, makes it easier to move through there, or even you'll see in tunnels that you can pump into standpipe systems and charge. That way you can move your equipment through a tunnel a lot easier. So that's how these standpipes work, Brian. It's kind of a down and dirty about standpipes. I like to see them. A lot of times we have to make sure the caps are on because sometimes kids will come by and unscrew the caps and they'll put stuff in there. That's some of the things that we look at. But the whole concept is very, very simple and makes our jobs a lot easier. And that's the inlet, right in you go. So Brian, I hope that answered your question. I have a bunch of questions involving EMS, emergency medical services, so we're going to kind of crack through some of those and get those answers out there. And this first one's kind of a long email from Gina, and Gina is in Sioux Falls, and basically Gina wants to know, why are fire trucks dispatched to medical calls and why are they there so fast? Well, Gina, part of the reason is we have a lot of fire stations in Sioux Falls, and all of the firefighters are EMTs, or emergency medical technicians, so they have those skills needed to save people's lives in a crisis situation. And what we do is, on certain medical emergencies, both ambulance and fire are dispatched, and the fire usually gets there quicker simply because there's more resources. We have more fire stations out there, and those firefighters can get in there, they can do basic first aid, they can secure airways and do CPR, hook up the defibs, so that's why we've deployed our resources like that, Gina. So I hope that answers your question. And as we're talking about these resources and our EMTs, I'm going to introduce you to one of our firefighters named Tim Nutra. Now, Tim, come on in here, Tim. Tim is a great firefighter. He's also trained as a paramedic, and he pretty much does everything, don't you, Tim?
I try to, yep.
And you're very modest, too. Well, I got some questions for you, Tim. You ready?
You bet.
Now, these are going to be tricky. I'm not going to hold anything back. First question comes from Baptiste, and Baptiste is in Mission, South Dakota. You write a lot of questions, Baptiste, and I appreciate them. He wants to know public access defibs. We've got them all over. Sioux Falls has one of the largest amounts of public access defibs in the country, 850.
That's great.
And he wants to know, can anyone, adults or children, actually use that defib, pull it off the wall and use it, or do they have to be trained?
No, anyone can use it as long as they can understand and read and follow the directions on the defib. They should be able to use it.
Defib talks to you?
You bet. It'll take you right through the steps and step-by-step process and lead you right through the whole operation of the machine.
Great. And we actually trained when we did those. We looked at fifth graders if they could follow the instructions, and they could actually follow them better than adults.
I bet you.
Okay, this is a tough one for you. It comes from Dave. Dave lives in Sioux Falls, and Dave wants to know, what type of medical information should be stored to help out first responders and paramedics when they show up? So what type and where should we store that information?
A good place to put that would be on your refrigerator with a magnet, or tape it onto your refrigerator. If you could have your name, your age, medications, allergies, your past medical history, just anything pertinent that you think would help us, to treat you better. Next of kin would be good. You bet, someone to get in contact with.
So just that basic, quick background history of any conditions that you might have. Yes. And how does that help you? Now, you were a paramedic in the streets for a long time. How does that kind of information help you out as opposed to knowing nothing about the patient?
Well, as far as medications, we'll kind of know your history then, what medications you're on, what we can look for to try to help you, get better and treat you in the best way that we can. Getting
more of those puzzle pieces put together right away. Next question comes from James, and James lives in Sioux Falls, and he wants to know, do you carry oxygen, O2, and suction equipment on the trucks, and how does all that work?
Yeah, we do. Each truck carries 2 tanks of oxygen. I got one right here I can show you. What we have an oxygen bag here that has all the oxygen equipment we need in it.
On every fire truck we have this, okay?
And we carry, this is a cylinder, and it has usually about 2,000 PSI of oxygen in it. And we also carry a spare bottle. In case we run out of O2 in this, we have a spare bottle we can get, in case of a cardiac arrest or something where we're going to use a lot of oxygen. So we have a whole bag with all our O2 equipment on. And then we have portable suction. We have 2 types of suction.
Well, first, I'm sitting there, and I'm James. I'm kind of wondering, why do you got to carry suction? What's the big deal with suction?
Okay, suction, you might be choking, or you could have vomiting and have fluids in your airway that's occluding your airway, and basically sufficient O2 flow into your lungs.
So basically, if someone's passed out, they're puking, they can't breathe, you're going to suck out their airway and clean it all out.
We want to get that out, especially before we do a bag valve mask where we'd actually breathe for the patient. We don't want to push that stuff into their lungs any more than it might be from their vomiting or throwing up. We got the VVAC. This is just a manual suction, just a quick, easy, you just squeeze it and then release it as you're, put it in and then you release, and it sucks out the vomitus or whatever you have inside. And that's just a manual one. And then we also have a battery-operated power suction unit that we can use.
Oh, yank that thing out of there. Let's turn that thing on.
All right.
I know he's going to write that. I didn't see it.
Okay, just has a switch here.
Yeah,
it's pretty portable. All right. Has a container in the back where all of the emesis or whatever you're suctioning out will go into.
Oh, Don't just say it. Puke. That's
puke.
where the puke.
It's puke. Okay, the puke's going to go in there. And very simple to use. So just turn on the button. Machine's going to operate, and then you want to stick in the tube, and then suction as you're coming out. And turn that off. What we have is a Yankauer tip. This is called, and it just hooks up to your tubing. And then there's a little hole that you want to plug on your way out from suctioning, so you're suctioning on the way out. And you don't want to be in there for more than a few seconds at a time while you're suctioning. And then, look, make sure you cleared out their airway. If not, go back in and do it again until you get that airway clear before you start.
This is pretty much a common procedure for cardiac arrest. We're always suctioning out airways.
Yep.
It's pretty much part of the business.
Yeah, we take this in on every call because you never know when you're going to need it. So.
Well, great, Tim, and I hope that answers all your questions, and I appreciate your help.
You bet. Thank you.
We have two great questions, all involving airport fires and if we respond to fires. And with me to answer these is going to be Tom Creer. He's the chief of the National Guard, the South Dakota National Guard crash station here in Sioux Falls.
That's correct.
Did I get it right, Tom?
You got it right, yep.
Okay. Here's the first question. The first question is from April. April lives in Sioux Falls, and she wants to know, do the firefighters for Sioux Falls Fire Rescue ever train with the firefighters with the crash station? And Tom, tell us about the familiarization and some of the things we've done together.
The City of Sioux Falls and the South Dakota Air National Guard Crash Fire Rescue work very closely together. In an emergency situation, we rely on the City of Sioux Falls to come in and provide mutual aid for us.
And what is mutual aid?
To come in and bring in added resources that we don't necessarily have readily available or we need more of in the emergency situation.
Okay, perfect. And then when training together, we just did that big disaster drill here not too long ago.
Just last week, we did our major accident response exercise drill where we simulated a plane crash with around 80 victims. And we brought out the Sioux Falls crews to work with our crews, some county crews, emergency management, Red Cross, all the disaster workers in the area to do a full-up exercise and drill and practice what we would do in that event. And
those were great. Plus, I guess we get to meet you and you get to meet us and we get to play better together in the sandbox.
Exactly.
This question comes from Michael, and Michael is in Plano, Texas. And he has a 4-year-old future firefighter, Andrew, and Andrew would like to know about responding to airport fires. And I'm going to change the question a little bit, but what's the real difference? We have one of your big trucks here. What's the difference between a crash truck, and crashes for aircraft, and structural trucks? Can you just give us kind of a down and dirty about the difference between these trucks?
With crash trucks, the truck operations the firefighting operations are more truck-based, I would say, in that we use our roof turrets and our bumper turrets to spray a water foam mixture over the fuel fires that you would normally find with an aircraft accident, an aircraft crash. So whereas a structural truck, you're pulling hand lines off.
We're basically going off the truck to the fire.
Off the truck to the fire. We drive these trucks right into the fire, or right to the fire, and extinguish it from the cab of the truck.
Now, I know Mike's going to ask, are these multi-wheel drives, and why do we need big units like this as opposed to a normal structural fire truck?
These trucks are designed for off-road operations. Most aircraft accidents don't necessarily happen on a runway. These trucks are very high horsepower, and they have to be all-wheel drive, all-wheel off-road capable to get anywhere that the airplane may crash at.
So, and I suppose once you get a couple thousand gallons of water in the grass outside between the runways, these are going to be the bad boys to get through it.
Exactly, yes. They are very capable off-road. And they're also designed for one-person operation. This truck is literally designed for one person to operate this truck start to finish.
And you can pump and roll and do the whole shebang right from sitting inside the truck.
That's correct. Joystick controls, very futuristic.
We're going to have to get Andrew, the 4-year-old, up there and take that for a spin.
I'd love to have him out.
Well, thanks a lot, Tom.
You bet. Thanks.
We have a few questions, and we're going to use Chief Larson to answer these questions, and these are from around the world. Ready, Chief?
Yes.
Okay, this first one's from Portland, Oregon, and it's from Brandon, and Brandon wants to know, when building new fire stations, how do you plan what to place in new fire stations, or how much apparatus you need? More specifically, how many units? So he really wants to know, how do you plan out what's going to go where when you build these new stations?
Well, first off, we locate our stations based on computer software programs. It figures out the road miles and gets people or our fire trucks on scene within 4 minutes. The apparatus, we structure our stations primarily as single company stations, so we have 4 firefighters and 1 apparatus being an engine or a ladder truck at each station.
Okay, perfect. This one is from Germany. Holgen is from Germany and asking this question: how long does a fire academy, going through a fire academy take? So for our new firefighters, how long does that take?
It takes 9 weeks to complete the program.
And then there'd be an additional time if they have to be EMTs, if we hire them and they're not EMTs yet.
Yes, that's true.
Okay. Murfreesboro, Tennessee, and this is from John. John wants to know, what is the purpose of the physical agility test? And this is the CPAT. Everybody wants to know.
Yes, well, we do adopt the candidate physical ability test, which is a joint test that's been developed by firefighters. Again, it runs firefighters through 8 stations, and it tests their ability, their endurance, and they're timed, and they need to pass that to be considered for a position on the fire department.
So we got healthy firefighters then.
That's
in
right.
Good shape. And I think this is going to be our last question, and it's from Lily in Monterey Park, California. What training do you have to go to become a firefighter?
Well, we talked about our 9-week class at the training center. That covers firefighting skills, medical skills. It also covers vehicle extrication, heavy rescue calls, and it also exposes them to the National Incident Management System, so they know how to operate under fireground scenes, so we're compliant there. And also, we also train our new firefighters in diversity.
Yeah, that's a bigger issue. I have one last question. This is from Rich in West Milford, New Jersey, and he says, tactical question here for you, Chief. Is a firefighter ever supposed to go into a burning building alone?
Well, the answer to that is no. We always operate on the fire ground with a minimum of 4 firefighters on scene, 2 entering the building, 2 on standby, so if the 2 inside the building get in trouble, they can go rescue them. So a minimum of 4 firefighters to make entry.
Great. Well, thanks a lot, Chief Larson.
Thank you.
Thanks for hanging out with us for the show. I'm glad we got to get the Chief in and our new firefighters, get some shout-outs and some questions. Now, if you have a shout-out or a question, get on our website, www.siouxfalls.org/fire, and you can send those. Be sure you got the right email address and your right mailing address, because I hate getting this stuff back. And if we use your question or your shout-out, you'll get Sioux Falls Fire Rescue t-shirt. Wear it proudly, and it will look good on you. One size fits all. Couple quick shout-outs. This one goes to Keith in the Burlington Fire Rescue in Breland, Wisconsin. I don't know if I had that one right, Keith, but I did my best. And Brad has, it's from Nebraska, the Bellevue Volunteer Fire Department in Bellevue, Nebraska. We're darn near neighbors. And my last but favorite one, we're gonna visit this guy, William in the Duncan Fire in southern Greenville County, South Carolina. You can't beat that. I hope you liked our show, and tell your friends about it. Now, right after me, you're going to see some pictures of some of our viewers. They've been sending in pictures. We finally got a way of getting them on so you can take a look. Maybe you'll see yourself if you send in your picture. My name's Division Chief Jim Sideras, and you've been watching Fire Call.